sleeps more. He seems, more. He must sleep about 20 hours out of 24. He's awake about 4 hours.
Yeah, he looks good though.
Yeah.
It's funny, he's gotten into the habit of sitting on the couch
Yeah,
now.
he likes this couch now, yeah.
He didn't used to
Because I
sit
think
there.
it was a draft by that bed. See, I have an extra comforter on it. I was so cold. And now,
Because of the air conditioner, right?
yeah,
Must be
the
from the
air
air
conditioner, quite a bit of air comes in.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no way you can. I guess what they do is if you call them for, I don't know, $20-something, they have some special cover they put over it. But I think that's the only air I get, so.
So it's probably good you get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess Blackie doesn't like it. He's cold. And the funny part is he changes sides. Now he's sleeping on this side. The next day and he never sleeps in the middle.
He never
Like
sleeps
a
in the
cat,
middle?
No, he sleeps on each end of it.
Yeah, cats are funny.
Or else he sleeps up in the back of that chair there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to do some more taping, Mom, about just remembering your family, because we've done some, but we haven't. I'm trying to do it more consistently, if we can. He says.
So what did you want to know from when I was a kid or what?
Well, just like I thought we'd maybe just do families. You want to start with your mother's family or your father's family? Which one do you want?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't really know too much about, Norway, much about their family.
Well, yeah, just whatever you know.
Well, my father was born in Sligo. Are you telling me?
Yeah.
It's on now?
Yeah.
Is it a picture too?
Yeah, but I'm looking at Blackie mostly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, my father was born in Ireland, Sligo, in 1846. And in Drumcliff, that's a different part of, it's nearer the border, it's a little section of Sligo that's separated from the main town. It's about 10 miles from the main town of Sligo.
Is it that far, Mom?
Yeah.
Didn't you walk it sometimes? No.
No, but Drumcliff was a pretty long walk all the way to the town.
Oh, I see.
From where my aunt lived, they were nearer, but we went on a bicycle.
Uh-huh.
We used to walk. And that was where Yeats was buried, too. They were buried, all the Jenkses are buried right next to where the Yeats are. And there's a grave marked, right next to where the Yeats are. And it's really nice in Drumcliff. It's, the house, that's where they were born, is, you go on the road and you wouldn't even see it because high bushes have grown up. But there's a little path, a little section where you can go down the steps. You have to go down, maybe about 10 or more steps. And then there's a river there. It's just a regular river, fish in it and everything. And you have to, there's a little bridge that goes over that river to get to their house. So they was in a secluded part. Nobody would know they were there unless you had been there. The English would never find them. Maybe that's why they hid there. I don't know why, but why they built so. Instead of building up on the road, where it was easy to get in and out, they went down further. But it was.
So that's the house that your father was born in, right?
Yeah. There were like two houses stood together. Like, you've seen the thatched roof cottages. Well, this was like two thatched roof cottages connected. And it might have been a little longer than the ordinary because there were two brothers and they each had 10 children. So, it was a lot of kids.
Do you know how long they were, the family was there, Mom?
Oh, in Drumcliff? Yeah, see, I don't know. They must have been there a long time. It might have been my great-grandparents were there. Yeah, that's it. That's what I was going to find out when I went to Ireland.
Yeah.
I had a couple of things I want to find out.
Who are the Jenks that are buried, Mom? Was it your father's buried?
Yeah, my father's
Did you
father,
see a
his
grave?
grandfather, and they're all buried in Drumcliff.
You saw his grandfather's grave?
Yeah.
You
A
did.
whole bunch of names on the grave. So I think they always lived there as far as they, a long time in Drumcliff. That's why, in a way, I think that's why they built right down there. They were hidden. That was probably in maybe Cromwell's time or so when he was searching for the Irish. And,
But you saw the graves, right?
oh yeah, sure.
But didn't they say
In
jinx?
fact, I have a picture of it. Alan took a picture of it and sent the pictures of the grave.
Recently?
Huh? Yeah, not too long ago. He was over there, I guess, last year. He sent a picture of the grave. He went to Drumcliff.
And it
I
said
only
jinx.
saw it the other day. I was looking through some of the stuff. I'll find it again. Yeah, but I couldn't read it. I couldn't read the grave. The writing.
What
was
it
too
says, yeah.
small. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still there. You can read it. And but the only thing is they. I don't know how long. That was through Cromwell's time when they changed their name. Their name was O'Neill. But then they were always very close, all the people in that town. They all stuck up to each other, very friendly, Protestants and everything, they were all friendly, nice. And then when Cromwell's men came, they wanted only the English kids could go, and the Protestants could go to school. The Irish were not allowed to go to school, the Irish kids. And that was the way of keeping them subdued. The more ignorant they were, the easier you could keep them subdued. But when they went, I think they were going up on the road, and one of the farms there, they stopped in and took all the names and everything, the children, so they could go to the school. And then he said, my brother lives in that farm, but he didn't say, from what I understand, he didn't exactly say where the farm was, but it was in, the next farm. So, but that you had to go down, go down. I don't think they knew where it was. Maybe they did, I don't know. But they said, that's my brother over there and his children. I'll give you the names of his children. It'll save you the trouble. Oh, that was it. To save them the trouble of going over and then he would give them the names of the children. So he did. And that's how they got to go to school.
And your father told you that?
Yeah. And then they had to change their name. Their name was the same as that English name was Jenks. That was an English family.
Except the name wasn't Jenks, it was Jinx.
Well, no, I think it was Jenks. I think somebody around, they changed it. Because my father, on his baptismal certificate in 1846, says on it Jenks. And I got it from the Sligo office. So I think, Terence says, they might have had a little difference later on, maybe many years later. And so one section called themselves with an I and the other with the E. Because my father says he never wrote his name with Jinks, and yet the Birdie says they always wrote it Jinks, so I don't understand it. But
So when was your father born, Mom?
That's what I told you, 1846, in Drumcliff.
1846.
Yeah.
And you know what number child he was? You had 10 children, right?
Yeah.
Was he a later one or an earlier one?
I
Or?
think he was in the middle.
He was in the middle, yeah.
I can remember all the names of them. I know.
Which ones do you know that you do know?
Well, I know Patrick, William, Maggie, Bridget, Mary, and what was the one who was out in Lange's father? What was his name? Bart. I think his name was Bart. There were a couple more. I think it was I don't know. I'll have to get all that information. I really can't remember all the names. But I mean, those are the ones that I know were the ones who came to America. Most of them all came to America.
So who came to America first? Do you know, Mom?
I think it was Maggie. And then her sister came. Her sister came, Bridget, and she lived with Maggie. And then Mary came over too, and they lived together. But then...
Do you think Maggie was a maid or something? How do you think she made a living when she got here?
Yeah, I don't I think she got married. I think she knew him from Sligo,
Uh-huh.
her husband. And maybe they got married right away or so,
Oh, uh-huh.
you know, as soon as they came over here. Because I never heard that she was a maid or anything.
So you don't think she had another job? She just got married right away.
No, I didn't think she ever had another job.
Yeah.
I never heard of it. And but her sister Bridget, she lived with her, Maggie, but then she died. Because I remember Bridget, when I was, you know, pretty young, she died. Not too long after Maggie died. She died. And Mary, what happened to Mary?
So Bridget never got married.
No,
Yeah.
and neither did Mary. It was only Maggie who got married.
Hmm.
And then Blanche's father came over, and then he went on to was it Michigan or Wisconsin? I don't know, but he bought land out there, and he was a farmer. He did pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Wisconsin. But anyway, and then Pat, his brother Pat, came over. He was the one who was very good with horses, and he was lucky. Some wealthy man hired him, and he never had to go to vets or anything. Anything was wrong with a horse, he knew what to do. He was really marvelous with horses.
So was he like a trainer, or was he more like a vet? I mean,
No, he was like a vet. No, he was
a groom? Was he like a groom?
No, he was.
Is that what
more
they
than a
call him?
groom. He was like in charge of the horses. I don't know.
Did you ever see him, Mom?
No, I never saw him. When we got to Ireland that time, he had just died.
Hmm.
He was over early too, but he didn't stay long in America. They took him all different places. You know, he went all different places in America with horses and brought him. But he was homesick for Ireland. He didn't. So then he went back pretty soon and got married and had children and all. So when I got there, he had died only about a week before. He had a couple of children. And I met them that time. But,
And you know who Maggie married, right, Mom?
Mhm.
You know who Maggie married.
yeah. Uncle Harry, yeah, sure, I know him. Yeah, he lived to be over 80. So, you know, most all the kids were all grown up and everything, so he was pretty old.
And his name was Pugh?
Yeah, P-U-G-H.
Yeah. And he was from Sligo, you think?
Yeah, he was from Sligo, too.
Yeah.
She knew him in Sligo.
Yeah.
And he was a bricklayer, but he was a special one. You know, New York, that was a big thing. You know, all those buildings were all made of brick.
Mm-hmm.
That was when New York was being built up, you know, with all the skyscrapers and everything. And they to be the job he had to do the corners of the buildings, and that took special way. You had to put those bricks in. You know, you had to be sort of, a certain skill to do that. So that's what he was. So he made a lot more money than a regular bricklayer. But, you know, sometimes they had to climb up on ladders and, you know, I don't know, but he did that all the time. And he made enough money so they bought a house and they had, you know, 8 children. Then they adopted another little baby whose mother died. So, and they always seemed to have money.
And was Bridget and Mary living with them?
Huh?
Bridget and Mary were also living there?
Yeah, they were living there.
So they were helping out with the chores
yeah,
and
they helped
everything?
with the children, yeah. Bridget was a wonderful help to, and Mary too. But they helped her with all these kids, and they just stayed. You know, they didn't work outside the home, but they were very musical because they had a piano, and every time we went over their house, they all could play the piano. They were all singing, and it was the most musical house you ever go in to.
You mean the 3 sisters could play?
Huh?
The 3 sisters? Maggie, Mary, and Bridget could play music?
There's more than 3 sisters.
No, I mean the ones living there.
Oh.
Oh, you mean the
And
children could play too?
One of them became a nun, so she went to a convent. And then
Well, no, tell me about the music a little more. Who was playing, Mom?
they all could play the piano. They were all like natural musicians, and they could all sing. They had all beautiful singing voices. And we used to stand around the piano and sing them the whole evening. You'd sing all these songs, Irish songs, American songs, any kind of song. And Peggy, she had a very good voice. She used to sing very nice.
Oh, yeah, she was the one your age, right?
Yeah, well, she's 3 years older than
Yeah.
me. But she sang very nice. But there was a very light, that's why I used to, every summer, Aunt Maggie wanted me to come over there, and I used to spend 2 weeks there. And it was such a lot of fun because there was always a lot of people, and and then Peggy was near my age, and it was always singing. There was a lot of people coming and going. And they were everybody wanted to come to their house because she was so nice and hospitable. She always had food and stuff to give people. And then the thing I remember my Aunt Maggie is when I was, one time I stayed with her, and I used to sleep with they had beds, couches where they all slept, and I was with Peggy, but I couldn't sleep long. I used to wake up early, and my Aunt Maggie used to get up early and go to the 6 o'clock mass in the church, and I walked there. And then I was up, and I said, Aunt Maggie, can I come with you to church? She said, oh, sure, will you come to church? So I went to church with her. And on the way home, she gives me the money and tells me to go in and buy an ice cream cone. This little grocery store was open. And she said, go and buy ice cream. I said, ice cream cone now? She said, yeah, sure, have an ice cream cone. She said, don't say anything. She said, have an ice cream cone. And that's what she did. She bought me an ice cream cone, which was almost unheard of, to eat one early in the morning before your breakfast or anything.
It was summer though. You'd be with her in the summer, so it was.
Yeah. So I only went in the
summer, yeah.
When there was no school.
Yeah, yeah.
And and they used to fuss. You think they never saw young children the way they used to fuss over me. There she was used to all this gang kids, but she was so nice. And Uncle Harry too. He was always, you're a grand girl, you're a grand. He was always telling everybody I was a grand girl. Everybody coming out, you want to see a grand girl? They really go. You certainly get a superior complex going to that house.
But she got help from Bridget and Mary, huh? Because it would have been a lot of work for her by herself.
Oh, yeah, she had. And then she was always, when anybody came from Ireland, they called her the Greenhorn house, because they call them greenhorns when they came from Ireland. When they first came over, they had no place to stay. So they'd stay at her house, and then they'd all help try to get jobs for them. They always got jobs for them because they knew the route of the city. A lot of them worked for the city. That's where, you could get a job. And the Irish had an advantage. They could speak English, and they could write applications, while a lot of the foreigners couldn't do that. So that's why the Irish it was easier for them to get a job than some other people.
So where did you go? Where did you go to? Did she have a house when you went to see her, or was she in an apartment?
No,
she had a house. And it was in the Bronx?
They only had the one house. They never had a different house.
It was in the Bronx?
In the Bronx.
And that's not where Peggy is now, though, is it?
Oh, no. Peggy is near Fordham.
Yeah.
I think they were up to, like, the end of the line. I think it was 280-something street.
Uh-huh.
It was more than that. I remember the line was right near there. Then it went into White Plains, I think.
Was it the subway, the D train, or are you talking about something else?
No, the subway.
It was the end of the subway?
It was an elevator.
It was an elevator.
Yeah. See, you only went a subway so far, and then it went into an elevator.
Uh-huh.
And that went to the end of the line. And
so tell me what her house looked like, Mom.
yeah, it was I don't know. It seemed like an awful lot of room. It had a nice porch in the front. We used to sit a lot on the porch, and it was another house. It was all one family houses. There was no apartments around But what I remember is across the street on the corner was a saloon, they called it then. Mm-hmm. And I remember when Uncle Harry came home from work, Peggy had to go and get it, but she had a special can that had the beer in it. Mm-hmm. And I think it was like 10 cents or something to give her, and she'd go and get the beer. They'd give it to kids because they knew it was so fun. And she would bring it. But she used to go and swing the thing all around, and half the beer would come out and be on the ground. And Peggy, and then he'd say, oh, that's Peggy. I get a mouthful of beer, and it's supposed to be a can full. But, she was kind of a little devil when she was young. She was into all kinds of trouble. And she was the youngest, and I guess by that time, they didn't worry them, You have the 8 kids, you don't get excited. But he wasn't mad, though. He said, I should have gone myself. And so then a couple of times I says, now, Peggy, don't you dare swing that thing. Poor Uncle Harry needs, he's paying 10 cents. He should get 10 cents for it.
Did he?
No,
Do you
she
think
says,
he?
I don't spill anything. I said, you do. Look at the sidewalk. She was,
So how old were you when you went there, Mom?
well, I think I must have been about, because I asked Peggy how old was you when my mother died. She says 12. So I was 3 years younger.
So you were 9 when she died.
Yeah, but I think I was younger when I went there. I think I was like 8. I don't know, 8 or 7 and 8. But after Aunt Maggie died, then I never went over there anymore. Well, I did when I got much older. Like I went when the girls were still there. I went, but I didn't go for 2 weeks like I used to.
Well, who would take you over there? Your father?
Yeah, we went on the subway.
Your just everybody, or just your father?
The whole family went.
The whole family, yeah. And then they leave you, and then they come back for you.
Yeah. We always went for subway or train.
Yeah.
Had a car. There
Yeah.
was never any cars. Your kids all played in the street and everything because there was no. They used to be like horses. A lot of things were by horse and wagon. Groceries and delivery wagons and all by horse. They didn't have cars.
Well, Mom, if you went there when you were like 7 or so, the war was going on, right? Do you remember that at all?
And that's why one of her sons went to the war.
One of Maggie's sons?
And that was Joe. That's Ann. That was Ann's father. Because she only had the one boy, Joe.
And he went off to war.
Yeah. We used to write letters to him. We used to pray for him. And we got the picture. We remember he came home on leave and he had a uniform. And then he was sent in the thick of the battles in the trenches. And it was terrible.
But he came back okay? He wasn't hurt or anything?
I don't know. I don't think so. But he was in there like 4 years, a long time.
A long time, yeah. So all the rest of the children, they were all girls, all the rest of them?
Yeah. And then the adopted girl, Alice. So that's 8 girls they had and 1 boy. So he was, he was the king of the roost. He just, they did all the work. But they all pitched in, though. They were all good cooks. And their house was always well organized. And meals, she had a big table. We all sat down and said the prayers. And she was still very devout, Aunt Maggie. She had the sweetest face, too. She had this lovely red hair, real red, a real nice red. These pink cheeks, these deep, deep blue eyes. And she was small, little. I think she was shorter than I was. But she had such a nice way with her. My Uncle Harry was tall and kind of lanky looking. He all had these big mustaches.
Did he? Yeah. Huh. So who would come over when you had when you said a lot of people came over to the house and everything?
Oh, neighbors around.
Just neighbors?
Yeah, they're all very friendly. Well, they sit on the porch, in the nice weather. They all sit on the porch and talking and singing, and mostly, especially the greenhorns. They were so homesick, so they sing the Irish songs.
Songs from Ireland?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anybody play any other instruments besides the piano?
Violin. A couple of them played the violin.
Yeah.
And some of them played that
Like
accordion.
Accordion, yeah.
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 There was always a lot of music. And then they had Victrola going. She had that Victrola going morning till night. Everybody used to buy records, and that's the only way you had it. And all the new songs were put on records, and you'd buy it and listen.
So you heard all the popular music.
Yeah, I heard all the songs. You knew the words of the song by the records.
Yeah. And what did you do when you went over there? Did you go out?
Oh yeah, we used to go to the park. There was a park right about 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
And they had all kinds of stuff there. And I remember I used to go with Peggy. She says, "Oh, it's fun." One part was a hilly, and we'd roll down the hill. I said, "What should we roll down?" She said, "Oh, it's fun to roll down the hill." I said, "Yeah, but we get all full of grass and everything." She had these. So I said, "You can roll down the hill. I'm not going to roll down."
She was a
hill.
tomboy, huh?
Yeah, she was sort of a wild kid. She was and there's all kinds of things there, Well, you know, things they had a school nearby, and in the summertime, a lot of kids would gather and they played games, and you know, there was a lot of things to do around there. The churches would have, you know, things over the weekend, you know, like, well, not a bazaar, but I don't know what they called it, but you know, they'd have music and food and stuff that people would have. Because a lot of them were, most of all of them were from Ireland. They were, you know, homesick. A lot of Irish lived in that section where they lived. There were a few Italians, but the Irish, you know, could all speak English, so they had the advantage of partaking in a lot of things that the poor Italians couldn't understand it.
So that's where your father went, Mom, when he
Yeah.
came. And
But he only stayed there a while, and then he went to Bellevue. That's where he was studying. So then he stayed there. You know, he didn't board it. And Aunt Maggie.
you have that picture of him when
Yeah.
he's in the class at Bellevue, right?
Yeah, yeah. But he often, you know, we went back all the time, visit her, because Peggy was there. Oh, they liked Uncle Joe. He was, you know, he was always, he liked all the kids. He liked to go over there. He liked all the kids.
So they called him Uncle Joe, Mom?
Yeah.
Because Maggie knew him when he was Michael.
Yeah, but then he changed it when he came over here.
But she still called him Joe?
Yeah.
I mean, she called him Joe instead of Michael?
Yeah, she always called him Joe.
Huh.
Well, his name was Michael Joseph, and I think he used to tell him, I don't like Michael. I like Michael, but I call me Joe, and I think they were calling him Joe anyway, before he officially
Oh, really?
had it signed, yeah.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
It was Joseph Michael,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because he said every other one in America was either Mike or Pat. So he said, you know, so many of them, and there weren't that many Josephs.
So that was a pretty easy entrance for your father then, because he had Maggie and he went to Bellevue. So that was around. Do you remember what year, Mom,
It
or
was
what do you think?
the end of the I think it was the end of a century or so. Might have been like 1890 or so. No, maybe later. I forget now.
Because when do you think your parents were married? Do you know?
They were married in 1902.
They were married in 1902?
Yeah.
So he must have come in the 1890s, you think?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Sometime.
Yeah.
But he went to school for a while, right?
Yeah, he was in school. He was studying all the time because he was in Dublin, Trinity, or was it Trinity or whatever school he was, you know, long before he came over here. Because he wanted to go back. He planned to go back.
He didn't plan to stay here.
Huh?
Why didn't he go back, Mom?
Well, because you didn't have, it was a lot of money, and it used to take a long time. It used to take 9 days to go from New York to Ireland. And then, you know, that would be 18 days. Most people didn't have that much time, even if they had the money. Because, you know, the businesses never gave you the very most 2 weeks. And that your whole 2 weeks would be spent traveling, and you wouldn't have any time to... So that's why a lot of them, once they left Ireland, that was the end. They never saw their home again. Very few of my father's age ever got back to Ireland. And my father was always going to go. He was always going to go. He was always going to say... So my one promise was when I was young, as soon as I'm old enough, I'm going to take my father to Ireland. And I would just say, he says, oh yeah, we'll go to Ireland. So then, you know, then I got married, and I didn't have, I was always a big sorrow that I never took him to Ireland, because he wanted to go to Ireland so bad. But of course his mother and his parents were dead, and a lot of them were gone. It would be different now.
But he was working, Mom, right? He
Huh?
worked up until he died, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he worked.
So he was actually, because he changed his birth certificate, he actually worked into his 70s, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because what year did he die again? 39?
39, yeah. Same year as Brian was born. A month before Brian was born, he died.
And you think he was born in 46, Mom?
Well, I'm not positive, no. I have his birth certificate somewhere in my.
Because that would make him in his 80s when he died, Mom.
Oh no, then it wasn't that. No, well, no, it wasn't that. I think it was. Maybe it was 70s. No, it couldn't have been 46. No, it couldn't have been that. No, it must have been
Yeah, we'll have to check on
maybe
that. Mom.
75 or something.
That sounds closer, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 75.
That sounds closer.
I get dates all mixed up.
Because that would be,
Yeah, he wouldn't have been born 46. No, 'cause that was when it was a bad time in Ireland too. The trouble.
that was the famine around then, right?
Yeah,
In the 40s.
yeah. No, he wasn't born in the 40s. No.
Yeah.
So he never saw Ireland, and that's why he just loved Ireland. You know, he used to tell me things about Ireland and things they did and the beauty. He says, "Oh, you'll never see such beauty as in Ireland." I said, "Well, you haven't seen all America yet. How do you know?" He said, "Well, it might be just as good, but it's not any better. There's no place that could be any better."
Hmm.
So you're still taking a picture?
Well, it's recording at the same time, Mom. Yeah, yeah. We'll finish up in a minute. I just want to find out what do you think? What do you think he did? He couldn't get his doctor's. He couldn't work as a doctor, right?
No, because he was, as I tell you, he was allergic to blood. He would faint, and then they knew that. You know, while sometimes even when we were studying, he'd have to go and he'd faint away, and they'd say, "Well, here, you get over that." A lot of new ones do that, but he didn't get over it. Got worse. Couldn't stand. So then they said, "You'll never be a doctor. You won't get any surgery. You can't do surgery."
So what do you think he was doing when he met your mother? He hadn't started working yet for the Department of Health yet, right?
Yeah, no. He did something in the. It was for the city though, because he did get into the city right away. He's been working for the city of New York for all my life that I remember.
But you said he was working for as a masseuse for a wealthy man.
No, it wasn't.
How'd that happen?
He came to the hospital. He was a patient in the hospital, but they gave them extra. If you paid extra, you could have private. One of the people interned or whatever they would do it for you. So he used to do it for this man every day, give him a massage and everything. And this man liked him. He was very wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he when he was going on this trip, he said, "Oh, would you come with me? I'd like to. I feel so good after I have the massage, So when he offered my father thought, "Oh, I'll get back to Ireland." But that was where he went. Every country they said, "Don't go to Ireland, it's too damp." So my father was so disappointed he never saw Ireland.
So he had been a student and then like an intern or something, and then he didn't continue his studies. He went instead on this trip, right?
Yeah.
And that's why he had to get a passport photo, right?
And I still don't know why he was in Brooklyn.
Why was he in Brooklyn? Yeah.
I don't know. Bellevue, I don't know. Bellevue was not in Brooklyn. Bellevue was in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I'm sure New York City must have, I don't understand, I never knew what he was doing in Brooklyn, this little part of Brooklyn, Norwegian part of Brooklyn, to get a passport.
That is really a mystery, isn't it?
I don't know. That's the end of.
And what area of Brooklyn do you think it was, Mom?
That was in, what did they call that area? There's a lot of Norwegians lived there. It's not Flatbush, no. It was.
That's where your uncle lived? Is that where your uncle lived?
What did they call it? I forget now. I should know it.
But you knew tell me where your uncle lived again.
Well, that's what I'm trying to remember, what they called that section.
Oh.
It was a certain section, 624 44th Street. That I know I can remember the street. But they had a name for that section. And I know if you mentioned that section long ago, people would say, "Oh, that's the Norwegian section." They knew. There were a lot of New York was divided in sections. Like the Germans lived in, they like to be among their own, so they like to live in one section. You know, if one moved, a friend would come and move, and before you know it, the whole bunch of would be one nationality. What's the name of it? I think it was the name of Chestnut. I think it was Chestnut section. Seems like it was a nut. No, name of a nut. I think it was Chestnut.
So that's very mysterious why your father was in that
I
neighborhood,
know.
huh?
Yeah.
And that's how he met your mother in this. And who owned the shop? Who shop?
Some friend of my my mother's uncle. He was a friend of.
So it was a
I
woman.
don't know what my mother's uncle did either. I don't know, but they had a nice house and everything. So, but they had come from Norway over here, and I don't know what he did. I can't remember what he did. And it's funny, I have no contact with any of those cousins, and so I don't know, what happened.
Did you go see them very much when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, we often got together, quite often. Yes, they were fun. It was, a lot of them, lively, bunch of them there. Kids, a couple of my brother's age and a couple of my age.
Mm-hmm. Did your father play music when you were growing up on the Victrola?
No. Oh, on Victrola, yeah. He had all kinds of records. McCormick and different Irish singers. We had everyone, McCormick's records and a couple of other names. I forget what their names were. But we had a lot of records. He was always coming home. And then they were big records. They lasted a long time. They weren't little ones. They were not that big. Big space.
Because you didn't have electricity right away. You told me.
No.
Because you had gas lights, right?
Well, you had to wind it up.
So it was mechanical.
It wasn't connected,
It wasn't
all
electricity.
of them had like a crank, and you had to wind it up.
You had to wind it up, yeah.
For a long time. In fact, most of them all had crank for a long time, even when you got electricity.
Even when you got
had to change it,
Yeah. Well, we'll stop for a while, Mom, but I think it's just good because it helps remember different details, about people in the family. Because I know you know more about some of the other Irish relatives from when you went to visit, so we can talk about them another time if you want. Because you had your aunt, wasn't it Aunt Winnie?
Huh?
Aunt Winnie?
Oh yeah, that's the ones in Ireland.
And that's what I mean. So we'll talk about them. We'll talk about them another
Bertie's
time.
grandmother.
Yeah, we'll talk about them.
But that's why I like to go out, because there are a couple of things I would like to straighten. I'd love to know what happened to my grandmother. I never met anybody with the name. Nobody ever brought me. And the times I was there, that I met anybody with the name of Higgins, and that was her name. So you think there'd be a lot of people with the name of Higgins, unless she came from somewhere else. See, I don't know anything about that, and that's what I'd like to go.
When you go to Ireland, Mom, do you see Liam?
Huh?
When you go to Ireland, do you see Liam?
I always see Liam. Yeah.
I get a sense that Liam keeps track of things.
Yeah, he's much more, into things than Bertie.
Doesn't it seem like Liam pays attention to those things?
Yeah, Liam is nice. I'm going to ask him to get it. I don't know why I didn't do it the last time. Well, it was, all of us there. It was Colleen and Liam, and then so they had to do things that they, I couldn't always get the time to do what I wanted because I had to go with them, That's why I was anxious to go back.
Did you ever see a picture of your grandmother? No.
And I never heard them talk about her. Well, because Bertie, his grandparents, that was his grandparents?
But what about...
No, that was his great-grandparents.
Well, what about your father? Did he ever talk about her? Did he ever talk about his mother?
Oh, yeah, he often talked about his mother and his father.
Well, his mother is your grandmother, right?
Hmm?
His mother was Nancy Higgins. Your father's mother was Nancy Higgins, right?
Yeah, Nancy Higgins.
But you don't remember him saying anything about her.
Yeah, I heard him say about his mother, yeah. He used to talk about his mother. She was very nice, and she died pretty young, too. She died, I think, before he left Ireland.
And his father died before he left Ireland, too, huh?
Yeah. They died young then. They didn't live too long. It's damp. Well, Well, that's why I would like to find. I always wanted to find out about her, and it was funny. I didn't know her name was Higgins, but when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a foreign correspondent, and they had one, and her name was Marguerite Higgins, and she worked for the Herald Tribune, and she was, you know, the important one. She was very popular, and every day she'd have writing where she went. You know, different things happened, and it was always Marguerite Higgins, and then she'd always tell a little bit about where she was, you know, the surroundings, and you know, the kind of her home, the kind of people. And I used to love that. I said, oh, I'd love to be like Marguerite Higgins. But I never hear about her anymore. I don't know if there'd be a biography of her or anything. Because she was the only woman correspondent. I think she was during the war, too.
Do you know what paper she wrote for, Mom?
Yeah, Herald Tribune.
The Herald Tribune?
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be able to find her. I'll
Yeah,
go
well,
look on
Marguerite
Google.
Higgins,
I'll go look on Google and see if there's anything
Yeah, see if
on
you
the
can
web.
find- I often wanted to know what happened to her. She was nice, but it was funny how I should, you know, find somebody. I often thought, well, maybe that was some relative too, but that would have. She wouldn't have been a could be a cousin or something. You know, well, my father's mother might have had several brothers and sisters, and Marguerite could have been the daughter or granddaughter of one of them.
She might have been related somehow.
Yeah, that's what I mean, related, yeah.
But there's a lot of Higgins in Ireland, isn't there? Pretty.
Well, there wasn't so many in Sligo.
No, not in Sligo.
It isn't as popular as some of the names, you know, like O'Neill and O'Brien and all of them are much more popular. But I'm going to find out. That's why I would like to. That's why I wanted to go this last time to Ireland, so I could fill in a lot of things that I've been, you know.
I think you need to find somebody in the family, Mom, who's
Yeah.
done some research.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe Liam knows.
I think Liam, because I asked Bertie a couple of times, he wasn't interested. You know, some people are not interested.
They don't
in their
care about
ancestors.
that,
He
yeah.
wasn't interested at all. So, you know, I asked him. So I asked her, how about your grandmother? Did you ever see her? Yeah, she was a nice old lady, but he didn't, you know too much about her.
What was I going to say? Have you been to Liam's house in Sligo?
yeah.
You have, yeah.
No, not the new one.
You haven't been to the new one.
But the other one was lovely. He had beautiful garden. I never saw so many beautiful flowers.
Yeah.
Ireland can raise lots of flowers because you get a lot of rain.
Yeah.
Flowers like rain more than they do sun. There's nutriments in rain. Because I noticed, I couldn't believe the roses, great big roses, and everything grew so nice. And he had I stayed overnight. I know they invited me, and I stayed there a couple of days with Liam. One time when I was there, I think when the first time I went with Terrence and Colleen. Yeah, that was I think it was 10 years before we went second time, so that might have been the 80s that we went.
Didn't you go with Uncle Joe once, or no?
No.
You never went with Uncle Joe
I went
to Ireland.
Norway.
Yeah, you went to Norway.
No, I never went with him.
So how many times have you been to Ireland altogether, Mom?
5.
5 times.
This will be 6.
So who did you go with? You went with, besides the last one, you went with Terry and Liam and Colleen, and then you went with Terry and Colleen. Who'd you go before that? Did you go by yourself once? No.
No, that was when I went with your father.
Well, you said 5 times. You went with your with when that trip you went
No,
with your
4
mother.
times. I would have went 4 times.
4 times, okay. Yeah. Well, it looks like it's snowing again, Mom.
Is it?
Isn't it crazy? I can see out the window, but
It's
it's...
snow. Every day you have to take the snow off your car, huh?
I know, it's been really
Did you
a crazy
get a
winter.
picture of Blackie?
Yeah, I got a nice
Blackie.
picture of Blackie. He's
Want me to put him on my lap so you'll see him better?
well, I can try to. It's up to you.
Blackie, come here. We got to take a picture of you. Posterity. Yeah. He says, oh boy. He says, here she goes again with her dopiness. Now look up there like a very good boy. Now, see? Look at,
Yeah.
was his eyes open?
Yeah, his eyes are open. He's a
My
sweetie.
nice boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy. All right. You want to go back to sleep again? All right. Go on. Go on. Go ahead.
All right. Well, next time we'll see if you have any pictures we can
Yeah, well,
put
I have
on.
a picture of my father. You
Yeah.
want to take them? This wasn't, I think this was after he was a student. It was more like finished. Look the way he's dressed. He almost looks like a priest there, doesn't he?
Yeah. Let me see. Let me bring it over. Let me bring it over by the camera.
Huh?
I'll bring it over by the
Wanna
camera
put
and
it
I'll.
up somewhere?
Yeah. Well, let me see if I can put it under the light here.
Yeah, all right. Put that stuff away there.
Put it down.
Yeah, I'll take this junk away.
So that's pretty young, huh?
Yeah. But see the way they dressed him?
Well, where was he, Mum, in that picture? Do you think?
Yeah, that's it. I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know if it was in Ireland or not.
No, I think that was in America.
What does he have in his hand?
I don't know. You see?
It's like a stick or something. Though.
Hmm?
It's funny. I don't know
Maybe
if
they
they
had
had
a walking stick. That was
did
the
they
style.
have-
Have a
did
walking
they have
stick.
walking sticks back
And
then?
this, I think, was when I was a kid. Born. Little. Oh, yeah. That's a little picture. That's a picture when I was born.
This one here.
Yeah.
See if I can get the
And-
shadows on it.
And here's the.
Sorry, but
This little one is
this one isn't.
when he was older. I think this one is better.
So wait a minute. Let me see if I can see this very well.
Can't see that now? Too dark, huh?
Well, I moved it over this way. Let me
Mm.
see. No, the light's just not on it right.
Yeah.
If I leave it up like this. No, that's not right. I'll go like that. It is hard to get a good
Yeah.
picture of it.
Keep a good light, maybe we pull this up a little.
Like that. Now there.
Here's
So he's
here's one
wearing.
here. That's his when he died.
Well, let me just go to the second one. This is the one you remember
I have
when
to
he
go
was.
to the bathroom.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can't see that now, can you?
What?
What you took
Yeah, after we finish, I can. Yeah, we can see
when
it.
you have the whole thing is finished. Huh?
Yeah, when we finish it, we can see it.
How
So
long?
where do you think this picture is, Mum? Do you know?
Hmm?
This isn't where you
That's
lived.
where he lived. Where they lived when I was
But-
born in Long Island, in Astoria.
So that was an apartment where he lived.
Yeah, yeah. I was in an apartment. It's kind of dark. Can you see?
Yeah, it looks like a pretty rug and a nice.
Huh?
You can see like a pretty rug.
Yeah.
And did he usually wear a three-piece suit?
Yeah, he always wore a three-piece suit. I never saw my father without a three-piece suit and a collar and a tie. Never.
Always, huh?
Always, never.
And this picture you think was right before he died? This one
Yeah,
right here?
that's the way he looked when he died, yeah.
And the one next to him is your
That's my-
mom's mother, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's my mother. You can see the resemblance between her and her mother, don't you think?
Let me see. Yeah, your grandmother looked kind of somber in that, but
Yeah.
she could still. Do you think she was blind there, or you think she could see
Yeah, she was blind, I think, then.
in that picture? You think she
I
was?
think so. Because she was 10 years blind before she died. And I think she was 80 when she died.
Don't you have some pictures of your mom when she was younger?
Oh yeah. That was not too long before she died.
Oh, really? That one too?
Yeah.
She was younger than your father. So this one is a picture of your mother. Looks very young in that picture, doesn't she?
Yeah, I don't know where that picture was taken. It's probably they used to do that, you know, make them sit down on a, and put their hand. Yeah, that was a funny way
They would have these funny
yeah,
poses.
they'd always pose like, you know, or they'd stand up with their hand up, and it was all posed pictures.
You think that's was her?
Yeah.
So 1910. How old do you think she was?
I think she was 30.
And you think this one was around 1910 also?
Yeah, because Clement was born in 1905, so he was 5 years older than me. So I think I think they were married in 1903, 2 or 3 or Vietnam. I really don't know. I never thought to ask them things like that when you're young.
When they were married,
Yeah.
you mean?
Like you, if you hadn't, you wouldn't know what happened when I got married, unless I'm old enough to tell you.
Unless I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice picture of them.
Yeah.
What she would do? She was a photographer.
No, she had a photography shop, and then and that's they were the only ones who took the pictures mostly. But well, no, I guess the newspaper had a camera too, or they didn't. But anyway, she would bring it with her. She was a thing like this, but only taller. That it had, and then it had another part for the camera. So it was kind of a heavy thing she had to carry, and she would get on the train or whoever she got around. Oslo, I don't know.
Well, she used to ski herself too, but she probably didn't ski.
No, maybe she did. I don't know. She was a good skier. I really don't know how she got around, but she would hurry up and bring the things and take the pictures as they were jumping down. It was jumps. And she would take the pictures, and then she'd go back right away herself and develop them. And then she'd get them to the newspapers ahead of the guys who were supposed to be taking.
Mm-hmm.
So she'd get paid, and they were mad. A woman who got it ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
But see, she could develop them herself.
I see.
And they had to bring it into...
They had to bring it someplace.
Yeah.
The other photographers, huh? Because she had her own
could
shop.
develop all the pictures. She could develop any kind of pictures, films and snapshots and everything.
But it was her own shop, you're saying? You think she
Yeah.
had her own shop?
It was her own shop, yeah.
So
Well, I think she rented it, the space, but it was hers.
uh-huh.
I think she had to pay rent and some. And it was right downtown, and they called it Christiania.
That's right. It wasn't Oslo
And-
yet.
Yeah, but then they changed it to Oslo. But it was right, and she showed me where the shop was when we were there. She showed it to me.
Was it downtown?
Yeah, it was down in the main big Karl Johan Scott, they called it. Karl Johan, he was a king.
She wasn't the oldest child, was she?
No,
Hannah was older?
yeah, and Mon was older.
Was older.
They were the youngest.
The
Her
twins.
and her sister, yeah,
The twins were the youngest.
because her father died after that, so no more children.
Did you have pictures in the house of her sister, her twin?
Yeah, I did. I had pictures, but I don't know where.
I mean, because she had pictures of her in the
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
But her twin was not very well, right?
no.
Well, I remember you had some other pictures of her when she was young too. I saw them a long time ago,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I had a
What
box
happened
of
to 'em?
pictures. I think Thea took a box of stuff I had. I don't know what what she took away. She has some of mine, box of my stuff that she took.
Mm-hmm.
So health.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just going to start again, and today's February the 28th, right? And we're just,
Yeah.
and it's about almost 4 o'clock. And we're just going to do a little bit more about some of the history. So,
What history?
well, family history, Mom. We just
That's not what I said before.
well, we were talking about your mother and your father's family. So,
Yeah.
maybe you can just talk about what you remember when you were little. What do you remember about? Like, where did you live? You were telling me that you were in where were you when you saw the soldiers?
Yeah. What?
You were telling me where you were when were the soldiers. Where were you?
Yeah, well, we lived in Grand Avenue. That was when I was, well, I think I was only about 4 years old when I used to see those trains coming.
Is that the first house you remember, Mom? Or do you remember?
No, I remember another one earlier than that. That was in another part of Queens. We went to St. Patrick's Church there. And that's where my brother Clement started there, first grade there. And then we moved to this other place, Grand Avenue, and we went to another church that was St. Patrick's. And then my brother transferred there.
So,
But
so what do you remember about the first place?
well, the first place is I know it had a gate. We had to walk in. It wasn't an apartment house. It wasn't many families. It was actually two families. It was one family house, but then part of the house they rented out.
Were you upstairs or downstairs? Do
We
you
were
remember?
downstairs.
You were
yeah.
downstairs.
And what I do remember, it did have a back porch, you know, and I remember my mother had a nice chair. We could sit out there.
And it was in Queens.
Yeah, it was all Queens. I never lived any place but Queens, except I was born in Brooklyn, but I was only there a month, you know, so that doesn't
And you
count.
were born at home, but you don't remember. Right. What?
I don't even remember whether I was born at home. Did I say that?
I don't remember you if you knew you were at a Well, think about this, Mom. Do you remember when Uncle Joe was born?
Yeah.
Was he born in a hospital?
No, he was born at home there. So, I
So if
guess
he
I
was born at home, you probably were
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
He was born at home? Yeah?
Yeah. Because I remember the day that lady from Norway, Anna, she was staying with us then. So my father was there, and he said to Anna, you know, take her out, and he gave her some money, and so she bought us candy and something. We went to a nice park, and we walk. She liked to walk. We'd walk around the city, and she was pushing me on a swing, and so we were gone practically all afternoon. And
What time of year was he born, Mom?
November.
So it was a little
It
chilly.
was a little chill, yeah.
Yeah.
November the 10th. No, not the 10th.
That's Brian's birthday, right?
Yeah. 18th. Or this was the 18th.
Yeah. But how old were you about?
Let's see. I think he was born 1915, November, and I was born December 1910.
So almost 5 years old.
Yeah.
About 4
Not
years old.
quite, see, because I was born the end of the year, and so he, yeah, so I guess it was about almost 5 years old, yeah.
Almost 5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty old. You'd remember him as a baby then.
Huh?
I mean, you were old enough to remember him.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
When he was a
we
baby,
born,
yeah.
And then Anna still stayed with us, and she used to take him out in the carriage every day, and I'd go with her, and, you know, I didn't go to school yet. See, I couldn't have been 5 because I went to school at 5, so I must have been before 5. I don't know how that works out, but anyway.
Well, you weren't yet 5, no. So that
No.
did
yeah.
they probably didn't let you go to school until the next year.
Yeah. But I mean, they didn't want me to go because they didn't have kindergarten. You had to be 6.
Oh,
and I was
see.
was just 5.
Well, if you went the following year,
Yeah.
when Joe was just a little toddler, you would have still been 5
Yeah.
until December. So if you started in September, you would have started at 5. Is that what you said you did? You started First grade at
September.
5?
At 5.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I remember Joe very well. You know, he was like a big doll to me. You know, because he moved and did everything, and and Anna was very good. You know, she helped my mother, took care of, and we'd take them out, and she, she was a big help. But then she got a job and she left. So.
Because she had just come over from Norway then? Was
Yeah.
she just coming
She
over
didn't
right
get a
then?
job yet, yeah. My father got her a job. See, my father worked, in New York City in the Department of Health in downtown, and he knew a lot of the big shots of the different departments. Not only the health department, the other department, the mayor. He knew the mayor. He was very friendly with the mayor. What was his name now?
Jimmy Walk? Jimmy?
Well, yeah, James Walker.
James,
Walker.
yeah.
And so he knew different people. There were a lot of wealthy people that would come to him. They wanted girls from different countries who they found to be very good and reliable.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
Norway was one place they were very happy to have. And the same with Ireland.
Yeah.
Ireland was a big advantage because they spoke English, while the Norwegian girls, they weren't. Although they learned, they learned quick. So my father must have gotten at least a dozen of them jobs. A lot of them that got jobs in New York, because that was a big immigration period. From I guess 1900 to 1930 or so. It was heavy immigration.
So you were always living in Queens, and so the first place you remember, do you have any idea what neighborhood it was,
Yeah,
Mom?
now, what was the name of that neighborhood again? It did have a name.
Because you said the second place, did you call it Grand Avenue?
Yeah,
So you remember is that where Uncle Joe was born?
yeah.
In Grand
Uncle
Avenue.
Joe was born, yeah. I remember the house number 563, Grand Avenue. I remember that one. The other one was called, now what was the name of that? It was a certain section, but it was a nice section. Because Queens is pretty big.
Yeah, I don't know all those sections
I
that
know,
you.
there's lots
So
of-
what was Grand Avenue? Do you know what section that is, Mom?
No.
No.
But it was a very built-up area because Grand Avenue ran into Steinway Avenue, which was the main street. All along Steinway, you took all the way and followed it all over the bridge over to New York.
Oh.
Steinway Avenue was the principal street.
I
And
see.
all the stores were there and the
Uh-huh.
movies and everything. So,
Mhm.
that's the way the trolley car went.
Mhm.
All along Stein. We weren't far from Steinway. We were only maybe 3 blocks. So it was whenever we went to the store, we walked up to Steinway Avenue with all kinds of stores and movies and everything were there.
So in the very first place that you lived, Mom, you were probably maybe 3 or 4, right? And you said it had a back porch that was nice, right?
Yeah.
And it had a special chair that your mother put
Yeah,
out.
my mother she had plants out there.
She had plants.
Yeah.
Was that a busy section, or you think that was quieter?
No, that was quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well, because there was no cars or anything in those days, so you didn't have the honking of cars and
yeah, that's
crowd.
right.
They used horse and wagon for everything. Delivery people had horse and wagon, and then even people had them for transportation.
There were cars, but very few.
Very few, yeah, very few cars. Not too many at all. If you saw one a day, that was a lot. See, none of the deliveries or anything were made by cars, because they had horses. It's cheaper. And the horses were people who used to having the horses come up in front of their house, stand in front of their house. Nobody was used to having a car parked in front of their house.
Yeah, because you were saying that people brought different, like bread and different
They
things
sold everything from the car. They
From
sold
the-
clothes and
from
shoes
the horse and carts?
and everything, right from these wagons that the
Mhm.
horses drew. And so you really didn't have to go out of your house. You could
Mhm.
do your shopping right there. Everything. You buy meat, you buy fish, you buy fresh vegetables, and milk you got from the dairy products. You got from the milkman. He came every day.
Mhm.
Then they also had a bread man, but you could buy bread from the men and when the carts too. They sold bread. You buy clothes. Used to come around with all kinds of clothes. My wife would have bought some things, but most of them she made. But you could buy everything:
Mhm.
dresses, coats, hats, all sizes. See, that's because they knew these women couldn't get out to the stores to buy.
Too far away.
So
yeah.
and they were always cheaper than the stores were. You know, because they didn't have to pay any help. It's usually an individual man who, and most of them were Jewish, and they used to kid. You know, we used to make fun of them, and they used to make fun of us. It was never any hard feelings, you know. And sometimes they'd give us a little couple extra candy or something, you know. And then so we'd be nice to them, because some of them were kind of fresh and chasing us away. And, I'll get out of here, and you know. And so some of them we didn't like at all. Yeah, we couldn't even look at the things. They'd come and chase you away. But some of them were really nice too.
So Clem, was he in school already when you were
yeah,
little?
he was in school.
Cause how much older was he?
Well, he was. So he was born 1907 in July, and I was born 10.
So by the time you were like 3, he was already in first grade.
Oh yeah.
So you were probably home mostly with your mother when you were little,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Until you went to school.
Yeah. But that's why I was so good, because I was so smart, because I was always interested in what he did in school. And he would, you know, he'd tell me all the things he did, and even show me his adding. By the time I was 5 years old, I knew practically everything he learned. Because, you know, he was nice when he was a kid. He was very obliging. He'd, you know, tell me everything. And then I'd say, what did the reading? And I'd ask him what it was, and he'd tell me. So, you know, I was a Turk that liked learning, you know. So I knew everything. That's why when they wanted to put me in made me wait another year, my father even went down to the school, and they had a strict rule, you know, and he couldn't break it. So my father went down, and he said, well, we'll just test her and see how, you know, they would give me addition, I could add, and I knew the whole ABCs, and I knew how to read. They gave me a first grade reader, and I could read everything. You know, because, you know, when you're 5 years old, if you've been reading a lot, you advance. And then my father used to read to me since I was about 2 years old, I guess.
He used to read with you when you went to bed, Mom?
Huh?
At bedtime or other
Yeah,
times?
every night he'd read.
Yeah.
But on Sundays, he used to read the whole day. Sundays, funny, you know, the funnies. There was a whole bunch of them, and he'd sit and read one after the other, and you know, and another thing, when I say about the funnies, it's simple language, and they repeat it a lot. You know what they say. So yeah, I got to be very proficient, because one time, you know, he said, "Oh, wait a minute," and I get up and I kept reading on. He says, "You can read that?" He said, "Yeah, I could already read it, but I didn't want to tell him I could." Because, you know, I was nice, sit on my father's lap, and he'd do all the reading, and I'd just sit there.
Yeah, that was more fun,
Yeah.
yeah. So your mother didn't read to you very much?
No, well, see, she wasn't that proficient, and she could speak very well and write pretty good, but she wasn't as proficient yet. She got better later on, you know.
Did she teach you any Norwegian, Mom? Or did
No, she taught me us a few Christmas songs, a few little songs, a few words, but not, you know, it wasn't.
Because you told me she used to tell you Norwegian fairy tales or something like that, or something. Didn't you tell me that? Was it fairy tales or something Norwegian?
No, she used to tell me about the Norwegian history.
Oh, Norwegian
How they,
history.
You know, how the Swedish people, how cruel they were to them, and the king came one day with an army and killed the whole town, and that's why they all hated the Swedish people, and they were under the rule of Sweden for quite a while, till they fought for their independence, and they became free. That was pretty late, you know. It was in, I think it's in June that they celebrate Independence Day, but it was only in like around, I think it was like after the other World War. It wasn't. It was pretty recent.
You mean so it was while your mother was in the United States? You mean when she left Norway, it was still under Sweden?
Still in Sweden, yeah.
And you said that it wasn't Oslo, it was Christiania.
Yeah.
Christiana?
That's when they changed it, yeah.
So that's the name
I
of the.
don't know why. I thought Christiana was a nice name.
What
But
was
see,
it?
one time it was quite Catholic because Saint Olaf, he was the one who converted Norway. But then when the new regime came in, a lot of them became Lutheran. They brought in the Lutheran.
The Swedes did that, or
Swedes, yeah, they were all.
they were all Lutherans?
But the Norwegians, a lot of them were Catholic. At
Uh-huh.
one time, they were quite Catholic. But then when they died off, the official language was Lutheran. You know,
Religion. It was Lutheran, yeah.
religion, yeah, the
Yeah,
official
yeah.
religion was Norwegian, Lutheran.
So you said that you heard your mother speak Norwegian, though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
'Cause she had
used to
friends
talk
come
with
over.
Anna, and Anna and a couple other, Louise. There was 3 or 4 different friends who came regularly, like every Thursday. That was the maid's day off. So she often had a couple of them come over, and then they had supper with us, and then they'd go home. Because a lot of the wealthy people lived around. It was like the '60s, because I know she only had to take a trolley right near where we lived, and then she'd stay in the trolley. We'd go over the bridge and past Bloomingdale's. Bloomingdale's used to be in that section too, and then that's where they lived.
Around Lexington, wasn't Bloomingdale's? I don't remember. Was it on? It was on the
Third
east
Avenue, I
side.
think it was Third Avenue.
Third
Yeah,
Avenue?
it was around Lexington, yeah. But Bloomingdale's then was just a simple store. I mean, they sold everything, but it wasn't a fancy store. It didn't cater. It was nothing like. It changed over to more fancy store.
It was more like Woolworths, or
Yeah,
simple
it was
stuff.
more like Woolworths, yeah.
Yeah.
Although the only thing is, it did have nice, certain, like shoes and things. They had more for children, good children's, and they had a wonderful thing at Christmas. They had a big Santa Claus, and they went all out decorating. They were the first ones to do that.
Bloomingdale's,
The other stores
yeah.
didn't decorate much. They put a little thing, but they never went to elaborate lengths at Bloomingdale's, and it was always nice because going to Catholic school, we always used to go on the 8th of December, Immaculate Conception. We had the day off, so we were the first ones who went to see Santa Claus, and he had nobody else but us, and he used to give us things, and we had a great time.
So who would you go with, Mom?
My mother would take us over on the trolley.
Would take
It was
you
easy.
and Clem and Joe?
Yeah.
All of you, yeah.
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 And we'd meet a whole lot of other kids from all different parishes. They all came.
So did the trolley go over the Queensboro Bridge,
Yeah,
Mom?
Queensboro Bridge, yeah. And it was
So you were not too far from there, from the Queensboro
No,
Bridge,
no.
then?
very near. We could walk. Well, we walked over it. My father took me over it
Oh, yeah?
when I got older.
So that'll say what section of Queens you were in, because you were close to the
Queensboro
bridge.
Area, yeah.
You were close
Because
to
there
the
wasn't
bridge.
the Whitestone. There was no other bridge. The only other was the Brooklyn Bridge. So we didn't live in Brooklyn, so we didn't. The only bridge was the Queensboro.
And you used to walk from the house on Grand Avenue
Yeah.
over
We
the.
walked to Steinway, and then there was a little past Steinway. 2 blocks, I think, and then there's where the entrance to the bridge was.
Mhm,
A
mhm.
lot of people walked. A lot of people even who worked who got up early and walked over the bridge.
Well, that made it kind of nice. You could get a nice. I mean, it probably wasn't all polluted, and
No,
probably was nice.
it was
So
very
your
nice.
did your father walk to work, or did he take the trolley?
Yeah, most of the time, if he could, unless it was most of the time he went to work, he walked all the time. And it was nice too. It was a nice clean bridge. It was nothing. Then you had all those islands. They had Ellis Island and a couple other islands. Then there was steps you could go down to them. And
From the bridge?
yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
you could still do it. Now you can
From the
go
Queensboro to Ellis Island?
You take the bridge. You get it used to be a trolley, or now I guess a bus, and you just get off and walk down. Walk a couple of flights down on it. And then
Did you-
get
did-
by Ellis Island. There's a couple of other islands. There was another one. What was that? One that was nice. I can't remember the name of it now. But there were several islands down there besides Ellis Island. That was like a public island.
Did you live at Grand Avenue for a few years?
Let's see. I lived there until I was in the 4th grade. and then we moved to Flushing. See, in
So
Flushing-
when did you used to go to New York with your father, when you were on Grand Avenue?
Oh yeah, yeah. Even when I was little, like even 4 years old, because they had benches along, you could sit and rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because a lot of people walk.
Because you were telling me he always wanted you to walk a lot.
Oh yeah, I used to walk around, and I liked the bridge because a couple of times we came home at night. And I used to love it at night because as you walked, you could see all the lights of the whole city. And he was saying, "Oh, it's just a fairyland." My father loved it. He loved New York. He loved the bridge and walk. It was a pretty sight because you saw all the lights, and we were on
Yeah.
the bridge, and you saw it cross with the water.
Was there a train that went over the Queensboro Bridge, or did horses and carts go over, and cars?
I don't think there was any train, but there was a train. But that went underground.
Hmm.
Because they had like a subway that went down on to another town, Corona.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last stop. I don't think there was any subway yet there. They had subways in New York City, but I don't think they had any.
Did the trolley go over the bridge?
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean, the trolley. So there was a
Went
trolley.
up the bridge all the time.
Yeah.
Regular time, every
So
10
the trolley.
minutes or so. You didn't have to.
So there wasn't that many. Were there horses that went over the bridge too, or
Yeah, lots of horses and carriages, and it was the
Well-
one mode of.
yeah, not too many
Crossing.
cars, and
No, I never saw cars.
when you were little, yeah,
Very rarely we see
Yeah.
cars.
yeah. So that was nice to be so close to Manhattan, huh?
Oh, yeah, it was
Because
nice.
you could go in and do
Yeah, and
things.
even my mother went once when she was younger, she walked more. And her and I and Joe, he was in a carriage, and we walked over to Bloomingdale's.
You walked all the way from your house to Bloomingdale's, yeah?
We walked over the bridge, and we rested. And another thing, isn't it funny how, well, I don't want to just say it on that.
Oh, all right.
I wanted to tell you what happened. I have this one doll that I broke the head, the porcelain head, and I'm trying to find a place where I could get a head for it.
Uh huh.
So, what will I do now? I called up the information. I said, is there any doll parts, the places that sell doll parts in, this area of New York? Because they had a lot in New York. So she said, no. She says, the only place I have one place that sells doll parts in New York City. And I said, I thought they went out of business because I used to get catalogs of them. He said, well, this is not called doll parts, it's a doll hospital. So I said, oh, when I was a kid, that was it. I used to go with my mother to the doll hospital because sometimes I'd break it, or you could break an arm, and you could go to this building, and it was just like a storefront, but he would fix your dolls for you, this
The doll hospital was there 100 years?
So I said to him, I said, well, then you could get, he said, well, not if you want to spend a lot of money. I said, what? He said, you know how much it costs now? About $400 to put a head on a doll.
Oh my
I
goodness.
said, oh, that's ridiculous. I said, we used to buy you could get, well, even, because I bought a head.
So this same doll hospital that you went to,
This is the same.
When
guy.
you
Yes,
were a
where it
little
was
girl,
near Bloomingdale's, and that's where
it's
it
right
was,
near Bloomingdale's. It's still there,
It's still there.
but it has it costs $400 to.
But
to,
they only cater to big expensive dolls and all the average person doesn't take that.
Oh, that's amazing, Mom.
Yeah, but he was so nice. He said, "Oh, you remember?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Oh, yeah, I've been here a long time." He was a nice old man. He said, "I've been here a long time." I said, "Oh," I said, "I could never pay $500." I said, "I thought the most I would spend was $20." He said, "Oh, you'll never get a doll's head for $20." But I said, "The doll parts place in Long Island City." He said, "Yes, he know, but they went out of business 5 years ago."
Oh, so he knew.
And that's why I used to get catalogs when I lived even here. So that wasn't quite 5 years ago, because I remember getting them, and I searched all over for them. But he says, no, they went out of orders, and people buying stuff for, fix their dolls like we used to. And kids don't play with dolls. They have television and every other kind of crazy things. They didn't play it.
So you went with your mother to the doll hospital?
Yeah,
Huh?
to the doll factory, yeah. Doll hospital it was. But they would fix sometimes the eyes fell out of the dolls. A lot of the dolls then where they had parts that were, replaceable.
So, did your mother give you a doll when you were little?
Oh yeah, I loved it because that doll I couldn't play with. That
This
wasn't a playing doll.
when did you got this one when you were older, right? This
Yeah,
one,
well, my mother had it. She had it set out
but she
because that
didn't.
was hers.
That was her doll.
Yeah, we always had it sitting out, but she never let me play with it much because she was afraid I'd break it. And it's funny, she never got any doll parts. These are, she's completely original.
This doll is this. We figured out this doll was from Germany, right?
Yeah, yes, it's a German doll. It had its name in the back, and they were the best dolls. The French made nice dolls, but they're not as nice as the German. There's something about the German features were always nice, and the porcelain. Like her
And
face,
and I can't really tell, but doesn't it have eyelashes? No, it doesn't have
No,
eyelashes.
doesn't have eyelashes.
But did the eyes close?
No,
That one, the eyes doesn't
but
close.
you can get, you could get, because at one time the eyes fell out.
Oh, really?
Sometimes they fall down, and then that's another. One time we got her eyes put back again.
At the doll hospital?
Yeah, the doll hospital. They just put them back. They know how to put them in. They were wonderful. They could fix everything, no matter what was wrong with your doll. They could fix it.
Well,
So it was a real. But I was really so happy to think that that's still there. I'd love to go back and just look at it.
well, maybe we can go, Mom,
Yeah,
just to see.
I said, he says, oh yeah, he said, but we don't have it little things now like long ago. Children would come in with a leg for a new leg or an arm or an eye or something. And he said it's not the same. It's all people with fancy collections that
Yeah.
do it.
So, which doll is the one that you want to fix?
So I have it up in the closet there that has a green dress.
It has a green dress.
But what I was thinking.
Is it an Irish doll?
Well, I used to call it an Irish
I thought
doll.
you did,
It
yeah.
was made in, but I think it was made in England, not Ireland. But I used to call it my Irish doll. But I was got an idea. I think that I'm not going to spend that money, but I'm going to take measurements and I'm going to go around to when I went to these rummage sales. If I find a doll that's, even if the rest of it is all battered up with the hair, I wouldn't care. Maybe I could saw it off and glue it on to this one. If I get one the same size, because the dress comes all the way up on it. At least you will have a head. Now she has no head.
Is the head? What happened to the head, Mom?
It broke.
Oh, it's all broken,
Yeah,
so you
I
can't.
broke it. I had it, which I never should have left it up in the closet. I pulled something and it came down and smashed on the floor. It broke here. I had it here.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's what I think I'll do. I'll look at, even though it'll be different doll, at least if it's a nice face doll I could put on, and she had a hat, so even if the hair is no good, I could put a hat on it.
Well, that's nice of your mother to take you, to take you all the way to New York City, Mom, huh?
Yeah, well, it wasn't such a long bridge, it was a sport. It wasn't like the Whitestone, they're much longer.
Yeah, the Whitestone is very
And
long.
the others, I think it was a pretty short bridge. Just
Compared.
like the Brooklyn Bridge isn't very long either. That's only about a mile. Well, that's not far.
Yeah. So, so that was nice when you lived on Grand Avenue. You could just
Yeah.
walk
Yeah.
into Manhattan. And did your
Yeah.
father take you places too when you were in
Oh.
first and second grade, and third grade?
Yeah, we used to walk in the nice parks. There was a lot of big parks he took me to. We didn't go to Central Park. We went to Central Park quite a bit. Yeah, that was right. 59th Street. There was an entrance. And we used to
That's
go.
right. That's not so far. You just have to
Yeah.
go.
I remember what we used to like to do was watch kids used to bring boats, and they used to have races on it. And they would, see which one, bet on which one, not money, just who would win. And it's amazing how those boats would go. They just
Well,
shove them,
They just shove them.
Yeah, they had no electricity or no batteries or anything. But they used to push them, and some would skim through the water better than others. They had all kinds of boats.
So when would you go with your father, on Saturday, or Sunday?
Sunday, most of Sunday.
After Mass.
Yeah. Well, after dinner. We would eat our dinner at 12 o'clock. And then he'd take me out. We wouldn't come home until supper. Could be out all afternoon.
So you would mostly just walk around, or would you?
Well, we'd go places, go into like went to different sections. My father used to like to see, like there'd be a Slovakian section, New York was divided into so many sections.
Mhm.
They had all kinds of food and different stores and different people. Then they on Sunday they'd always play music, and it was nice to visit them. And we another time we'd go to the Italian section and get their music, and then we'd go to the all of the
What?
Chinese.
Where would they be playing music in the street outside, Mom?
Yeah, in the street outside. In
And
summer.
people would be like on their
Everybody was outside.
on
They
their
all have a
stoops
chair
and stuff.
or their stoop.
Yeah.
That's where people practically lived on the stoop. Every stoop filled with people. They all walk around visiting your stoop. Your friends, come over to my stoop. See-
Was there an Irish section, Mom?
Oh yeah.
Where was that?
Oh, that was.
I mean, in Manhattan, or?
No, it was in Manhattan. It was a very big. I think it was around 50s. I think. It wasn't too far from, but there was a whole section of Irish around somewhere near was St. Patrick's.
Mhm.
Around that, a lot of them. They're the ones who built it.
Mhm.
The Irish who lived around that area. Oh, and there was a German section, Jewish section, French section, every,
Mhm.
and then even like that place that had the dates, I forget now what country, Syria, I think it was,
Mhm.
one of them, and I know we used to get these nice dates on a string,
Mhm.
and Lithuania, and, so now that's all gone, no more sections,
Mhm.
they're all gone now.
Well, there's different sections now. Like
Yeah.
there's Chinese
But
and
they weren't
different.
They were friendly because when they had their special day, the rest of them would all come in and join in. Like when it was Norway's. Norway was more in Brooklyn though. They didn't. I didn't think they had any in New York. They seemed to settle in Brooklyn more. Maybe there was, but I didn't go to there much.
What was a?
But then
Mhm.
my father thought it was too crowded in Queens. It was crowded, like the school. Sometimes almost 60 kids in one class. Imagine the poor
Oh, my
sister
goodness.
having their teacher. That's why she couldn't put up with any nonsense. That's why the boys, they were so mean. Well, they were so nasty. She had a rule, and she couldn't tolerate all this fooling around because she had to get so much work taught to them. At the end of the year. So my father said, "Well, then he asked for a transfer, and they gave him a transfer to Flushing. So then we went out to Flushing, and then Flushing didn't have no building. They were all one-family houses, and it was like now you go to Flushing, it's so different. You wouldn't even think it was the same place. It's all full of houses, and the subway comes there now. No subway went there then.
Hmm.
And it looked like real country because
Mm.
they were all private houses, no
Mhm.
double occupancy or 3 or 4. Every house there was just one family in it, and we thought it was so nice. And it was very good swimming there because they had their own. Flushing Bay was right there, and it was
Mhm.
nice and clean. Then you could swim in Flushing Bay.
Mhm.
You could walk to Flushing Bay. We used to walk, go swimming every day there. It was nice.
So I just want to remember when you told me when you were little you didn't have electric lights, you had gas lights.
Yeah,
You said
they did. And that's
so
very- I
you
think
didn't
that
have
was
any
in-
electricity then in the
No,
very
no.
beginning.
We had that. I think that was in Grand Avenue because I remember it was a funny kind of. They had gaslight, but it was a funny kind of a thing you put on and you'd turn it on like electricity.
Mhm.
It was funny. But I always just remember you had to get a special. It looked like a round. It was made to look like a cloth, and it was in, and then you push it, and the gas came up, and
Mhm.
and it lit.
Mhm.
And it really was good light. You could put it high up, and
Mhm.
so that was good. But then they got electricity when I lived in that, and then
In Grand Avenue,
yeah.
got electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But see, a lot of places only around New York are the ones that had, everybody had it. In other parts of New York State, you go like even on way out further Long Island, they didn't have electricity because they didn't have all the wires and they didn't have
Mhm.
all the equipment to get it.
Did you always have regular bathrooms in
Yeah,
all of
we
your
always had
places?
yeah. and
Because
a
you were
lot of-
telling me when you went to to Norway that
Yeah,
they still had outhouses in
I
Norway.
couldn't believe it. Yeah, we never saw an outhouse. But Verna was saying she had one all the way to, well, till she was grown up in Vermont.
In Vermont,
They
she had
say
an
a lot of-
outhouse.
Yeah, see, they didn't have the water supply.
Yeah.
You need a lot of water to have bathrooms. But we had, the kind that had like a thing on the top, you pull a chain.
Mhm.
But if you pulled it too hard, the darn chain would break. And how many times my father was fixing that chain, he used to get so mad. He said, "Be careful, you're not supposed to yank it, you're supposed to pull the chain." Gently. But it was a funny looking thing. It was over the toilet. He was afraid to get you on the head.
I know, yeah, it's a big tank.
But see, that's why we were lucky. We had a nice bathroom because they were new houses when we moved in, and they were the most modern.
Yeah.
So it had a regular nice tub and
Mhm.
a toilet and sink and
Mhm.
and a window in it too. You could, you could look out while you were washing your hands. You could look out.
But you were saying that your mother had this ugly thing to wash her clothes.
Oh,
Did she
yeah.
take it with her? Did that belong to her? So when she
No,
moved,
that belonged to the apartment.
oh, it belonged to the
It was
apartment.
a great big thing. It was as big as this couch, and it was divided in half, and then it had faucets in it too, and pipes underneath it drained went somewhere I don't know, but and that was in the kitchen. Ugly as and horrible.
But you didn't do your dishes there. You only did your
No,
clothes.
that was closed. Yeah, no, you didn't do dishes there, unless
Yeah.
the pots were so big you could.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
You
she
couldn't fit
wanted-
them or something.
But you had a regular sink to wash dishes.
Yeah. So every place that she went, she had one of these funny double sinks.
No, not like when we went to Flushing. She didn't have it.
So what'd you do there?
They didn't have that. They had it was nothing like that in the kitchen.
You told me
But we-
that just one time that they didn't they have something that had like a ringer on top.
Oh yeah, that's.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, she did have something with a ringer, but I think in Flushing we had a basement. That's why I think she had something in the basement that she soaked the clothes in and washed it.
Were you in a 2-story house there?
No, we had the whole house.
Did you rent it?
Yeah.
You rented a whole house.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been nice, huh?
Yeah, well, a lot of people rented whole houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of space, huh?
Yeah. Had an attic and a nice big yard. My mother had vegetables and had lovely flowers on the grapes on the fence and nice morning glories, and my mother loved it there because from living in that place in Grand Avenue, it was a brick connected with all tenements,
Attached
like,
house.
attached houses. So
Yeah.
there was a yard in the back, but then the kids were playing in the yard, with a fence, so the people would the kids would play there if you could play. So she thought it was so nice. It was heavenly, and it was nice who we rented it from because we lived on one street, and then there was a very large driveway, and then if you walked, it wasn't fenced off. It was only fenced off some place where she had the garden and all. But the other part was a big wide place. You kept walking, and you went into the Ma's house. And Mr. Ma, owned our house too.
Mhm.
He owned his, and he was a plumber, big plumber in the town, and he was quite wealthy. He got quite wealthy, but he had 10 kids, and one of them, we all had somebody our age. Like I had Winnie, she was my age. My brother had John, and then there was Tommy, and then there was 10 kids. They had a lot of them. So we were always living back and forth. I walked through there. If I wanted to go that way, I'd go through their house, and when they wanted to go there, went through ours. But we're only her father anyway.
Do you remember where that was, Mom? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was on Bound, 272 Bound Street, Flushing.
272 Bound.
Bound.
B-O-U-N-D?
B-O-W-N-E.
B-O...
And the funny part is next
B...
to
Wait, say it again, Mom. B-O...
B-O-W-N-E.
Bound. B-O-W-N-E.
Bound Street. And it was funny, as I told you, when you're walking down Bound Street, from the one part, first you came to it looked like a store, but it wasn't a store. It was an undertaker. It was Mr. Ma's brother was an undertaker, and he had, that was where he laid out the bodies, was in this in the store. And all the kids, say, I wonder what kind of a creep is in there, and they used to make me nervous. Say, oh, there's a body in there that gets up at night and walks, because that was near our house, but it was that big driveway. It was like a double driveway, so between from where that. But it said on it, James Ma Undertaker, and it had a fancy drapery on the window, and then it was, I think it was chairs and. People weren't fancy about burials then. They just people would come and look at the body, and a lot of them had it at home. So most people.
Someone would visit you in the house.
Yeah.
You'd have calling hours for
Yeah.
people to come to the house, right?
Yeah. But I think where they did is they kept the body. They didn't have room or something, so it wasn't all the time he'd have bodies in it. It's only
Yeah.
once in a while.
So how long were you in Bound Street, Mom? Do you have any idea?
Brown Street.
You were in 4th grade?
Yeah, I stayed there till I was in the 7th grade.
So just 4th, 5th, 6th?
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, because I know we went to St. Michael's School in Flushing, and my brother graduated from St. Michael's School.
Clem?
Yeah. And then he went to Xavier. That's the reason why we moved, because he went to Xavier Academy in military, in 16th Street, New York. And it was very hard to get in there. Everybody wanted to get in because it was a wonderful. It wasn't. They say it was military, but it was only military in rules and all. But they wasn't real guns. They never taught anything about war or anything. That wasn't it. It was that they liked the Jesuits. It was a Jesuit school. They liked the system of how the school was set up. They just gave you like 3 chances, and if you, no matter what, if you didn't follow it, you were out. And they all knew that. They had a whole rule. If you break these rules, you're out. Don't come and try to think you can get in anyway. Like in the public school, you could talk them into it, but you couldn't do that. But anyway, it was awful for my brother. He had to go to Flushing. He had to take a trolley car, and I was on a track where it was a one-way trolley car. There was only one track, and so the one trolley had to wait till the other trolley came and switch the tracks. But anyway, he had to get up like 5 o'clock in the morning to get to Xavier by 9 o'clock.
16th Street in Manhattan, Mom?
Yeah, 16th Street. Still there. Manhattan. Xavier is still a very hard school to get in. And he only got in because my father knew a couple of the priests, from being around New York a lot. He knew. And he went, and Joe was one of their, Clement was one of their prize students. He used to, he got the top honors, but then
it's funny, he didn't, later on, he didn't seem like he liked that kind of stuff when he was older. I mean, he wanted to drive the truck. He didn't seem like he liked authority very much.
No, he never liked authority, but yet but he liked Xavier,
Yeah.
He wanted it, he liked it. Because if you follow the rules, you never had any trouble. And they weren't over strict, there's some things they wouldn't tolerate, with tardiness. You knew you had to be, it had to be a very, something special that was against, like if the train broke down altogether or something. But no, they give you 3 times. And for the 3rd, that's why Joe was kicked out in his junior year, because he thought, he'd get away with it, and he didn't have to travel as far. But anyway, and then one time, Clem was, he was very friendly with all the priests. They all liked him because he was an altar boy, and he liked being among them. And at one time they had this big jewelry, I think it was Tiffany or some jewelry store on 5th Avenue. They used to have men bring a suitcase with fancy jewelry to the homes of the wealthy women, and they would look at it and try it on and pick it out, so that they didn't have to go to the store. So then, but so many of the men were robbed, because there were people watching, coming out of the store with a suitcase. It was usually one of the salesmen. So then finally they said, well, we can't have that kind anymore. So what they did, they said they wanted a good, reliable boy, and he would carry a school bag and do it. So they had Clement do it, but he didn't. Joey didn't mean it. He did, and he'd even go on the subway and all over. That's the way he got to the way uptown somewhere. He'd give him the coffee. He'd go up and he'd be reading. He loved to read. He had one head. He had a bunch of expensive jewels.
That's so funny.
And he goes, he did that the whole summer. And they wanted him to come back the next summer. But I don't know what happened. Why he only went back one summer. One summer we did something else. But I remember he was just saying, it's just a bunch of junk. He didn't. He said some of it is heavy. And then he'd go, but he says they were always nice to him when they came there. They'd always give him ice cream, candy, give him money, kid coming. And he always wore the Xavier uniform. They had to wear a blue, dark blue uniform with white striped trousers and a hat. It was a impressive little. So when so they never suspected. So he was never robbed.
He never robbed. That's great. So where did they give him the jewels? Do you think? Did they bring him to the school, or did he have to?
No, he had to go there.
He had to go to
16th Street.
To Tiffany's.
It was downtown. Cause that's
Tiffany's was downtown.
Yeah, and his school was downtown too. It wasn't far from the school. And he'd go after school and get the jewel. They'd have it all packed in another school bags. So.
That's a funny story, man.
Yeah.
So where was the bog that Joe almost got? That you were afraid he got? Remember, you were afraid that Joe got drowned in the Gug or whatever you called it.
Yeah, I know.
Where was that?
It's funny. I can't remember. Like I never asked my mother about it. But anyway, in this town, that was in Grand Avenue.
Oh, that was what that was. So you were little, yeah.
Yeah, because he was like, let's see, he was around 2 years old, I think. No, 3. I guess he was around 3. I took him to school one day.
And you must have been about 8. So you were probably in like 3rd grade or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was older. But we were allowed to do that, bring our kid brother to school, show him off to the rest of the school.
And what school was that, Mom?
St. Joseph's.
St. Joseph's?
Yeah, or was that St. Patrick's? I get them mixed up. Well, any of them. But anyway, I brought him to school that day. And my mother had him, it was during the war, I remember it. So why did he wear a soldier suit?
So if you were 8, Mom, that must have been around close to 1918, which was we got into the war in 1917.
Take a year off. What was a year like? See, I wasn't the same as the year. 18, I was a year less almost, because my birthday was at the end of
the year.
That
So
year.
you were only like 7 then,
yeah. I was around 7. And
so wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm backing up. So you must have seen the trains. What trains must have been at Grand Avenue then?
Well, that was the only place I saw the train, because that was during the war.
Well, where were
It started in 1914.
Yeah, but we got into it in 1917. So where were there were trains and trolleys? Or the trolleys were different than the trains, right?
Oh, yeah. They had a special train service that came, from somebody, went out further on Queens or something. This was like a commuter train.
And it went under the ground and
No,
into.
no, it didn't go under.
I mean, when you
It went on the ground, yeah.
But
just
it
like
went
a
to
trolley
Manhattan?
car, but it was a train, like a train tracks.
But it went to Manhattan, like
Yeah.
downtown to Grand
Yeah.
Central or Penn Station or something.
Yeah, but see, that I remember that before Joe was born. He wasn't born when we first saw them. Because, well, he was still, he was born during the war. The war was, he was born 1915. The war started 1914.
So there were soldiers, but the United States wasn't in the war yet. We didn't get into the war till 1917.
Yeah, maybe that was it then. But I know I saw these were American soldiers going to war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were in Grand Avenue, you
Yeah,
said
it was
then.
on Grand Avenue, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, one day, Joe was dressed up like a soldier.
Yeah. And he came to the school with me and his sister and all the kids made a big fuss because he was all dressed up. And he was always a little show-off when he was a kid. He was just basking all the girls and women, and the girls saying how cute he was and all this stuff. So then he says, I have to go to the bathroom. So I said, sister, I said, excuse me, sir, she's taking to the bathroom. So I took him to the. Then when I got out, I thought, I wonder should I send him to the boys' bathroom or the girls' bathroom? So then I thought, I better send him to the boys' bathroom. So I put him in the opened the door, and I said, you go in there now. So, and I'll be waiting outside for you. But I guess, how kids, I might have diverted my attention or turned around or did something else. And he had come out. And he purposely, he was a little stinker for trying to run away and do something. So he sneaked out, went downstairs, went out of the school, and walked to home, which was only about 3 blocks from the school.
Oh, it was
because
close.
we used to walk all the time, back
Yeah,
and
yeah,
forth.
yeah, yeah.
So that's what he did. He went home. I guess he thought, I guess I'll go home now. and I'm waiting and waiting outside in the hall, and I kept asking the other boys, is my little brother in there? No little brother in there. And I said, he must be in. Hey, I put him in there. So then I went back. I was getting worried and worried. I had the whole school looking for him. We thought something terrible happened to him. And then I had all the kids coming home, walking with me, walking up down the streets, and the whole school.
But what was this? Didn't you say something about the goog?
Yeah, well, that was it. See, in this grand area, in the back of the house, it had there was a street and it went down, and there was a big vacant street. It was something like a ball game. Ball field, all this just empty. And there wasn't trees or anything on it, but there was this water. It looked like a big round jug of water. They used to call it the goog, I don't know why, but they said it was bottomless. And you always stayed away from that, because if you ever fell in that's the end of you. So I guess that was, people told us, so we always never went near the goog. But there was, as far as I can remember, I don't remember seeing any sign. But anyway, I think later on it was only like a little puddle hole. It wasn't a big thing,
Just when you're a kid, it looks big.
Yeah, but they said people drowned it. Maybe they did, I don't know. But anyway, we would walk. And then one kid said to me, I saw him down by the goog. And I said, that's the end of Joe. And we went racing down to the goog and looking all over there. You see my little brother? No, there's nobody by the goog. Nobody here. I said, he was down there. He said, but that kid didn't know. He was just saying that. So then I was afraid to go home. I said, what am I going to do now? And so we were standing outside about half a block from our house, and often there was some knocking at the window. And there was Joe in the window, knocking. And the kid says, there's your brother. He's at home in his own house. And I was ready to murder him. And my mother said to him, why did you let him come home? I said, he sneaked home. So my mother said, yeah, I know. That's just like him. Do that. But, and there I told him. Then I finally told my mother. She says, well, she scolded him and says, how could you do a thing like that, your poor sister? But I really was worried. I thought it was.
Did you have to leave school early? I mean, did you go tell the sister that you had to go look for your brother?
Yeah, she loved it. All the kids, and then she told the principal, and another kid came around and announced. They didn't have announcing in the school like
they didn't have PA systems.
They always send a kid around to tell her.
Yeah.
So they'd send a kid from their class to tell that class to look out for a little 2-year-old boy. It's your soldier suit.
You were saying earlier that that you didn't have a phone, right, Mom?
No.
So that people would come with messages, or
Well, most of the time they'd even drop in. You weren't that formal. People would just come over and they'd have an inclination to drop in on you. You didn't have to. But if you wanted them at a certain time, you'd just send a message with one of your children, come over on Tuesday and call.
It's very funny. I'm reading this book about this woman, Katharine Graham, who she owned the Washington Post. It's an autobiography, and her family lived in Washington D.C. and they were kind of wealthy, and that people used to go around and leave calling cards.
Oh, yeah.
But that must have been the wealthy. I don't think regular
Yeah,
people did
no,
anything like that, right?
Yeah. Well, I know that was. I read all about that. A lot of people did leave calling cards, but you had to have them printed up fancy and all. But nobody did that.
Yeah.
Most people just dropped in. People were used to that. They were glad to see people. But people knew when it was dinner time, and they never dropped in at that time. They just come in the afternoon. And people always had the coffee ready on the stove, and they always had some extra thing, homemade, something they made,
Mhm. 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 So, so when you were in Bound Street, um, you were going to St. Michael's. Is that
Yeah.
what it was? And Joe started to go to school too. Did he go? He went to St. Michael's with
Yeah.
you, right?
We went to St. Michael's too.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a long walk to St. Michael's. And the house on Bound Street was almost a mile. And and in the winter, we had to go 4 times a day because there was no facilities they had no lunchrooms or anything those days. And no place, even if you brought your lunch, you'd have to sit in the classroom by yourself and eat it. And they kind of discourage you from, unless it was a very bad weather, then they'd say the day before, bring your lunch. Then their sister would have been there to supervise.
Yeah, 'cause they
Because,
didn't want to
they
leave you
couldn't
by
leave the
yourself.
kid with no supervision.
Yeah.
So,
Do you know what kind of sisters they were, Mom?
Yeah, they were Sisters of St. Joseph.
Yeah, that's what I had too.
Yeah, I had mostly Dominican or Sisters of St. Joseph. That was the only two kind. They were the teaching orders.
Yeah.
They, I don't know what kind.
And did you have boys and girls in your class?
No, none. They were boys were on one side of the building and girls were on the other side.
So you were in an all girl class when you were in St. Michael's, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
But and the classes were smaller, because the other church, you said,
Yeah,
the other school had so
yeah,
many kids.
yeah.
You.
It was much. It was much nicer in Flushing. Was really nice. St.
Yeah.
Michael's Church was nice, and they had nice big playground, a lot of room, and it was right near where the downtown of Flushing was, Main
Uh-huh.
Street.
Oh yeah.
It's only a block away, so you could run down there after
Mhm.
school, and you could walk home the long way, walk down to Main Street and the stores. There's big Woolworths, and it had a nice little park with a fountain. You could go there. It was nice then. It's funny how now it's all Oriental. The whole
Yeah,
thing.
it's all
Chinese,
changed.
Japanese,
Uh-huh.
everything. It's, that's what I have. One friend I have. She still lives in that area.
Oh, yeah?
Flushing. She used to belong to my North Shore Literary
Uh
Guild.
huh. Uh huh.
I still get cards from her. And she mentioned one. I asked her, was it so? She said, oh yeah. She was on about the last. She says, I like her. And she's used to living in them. She's a very nice people. They're very honest and nice. And, they don't do anything. There's no fight or anything.
Is that where the movie theater was, Mom? Too? Was there a movie
Yeah,
theater
the
in
movie
Flushing?
theater- There were 2 movies in Flushing at that time. One of them was more or less kind of it didn't have all the different cereals that we used to like. They used to have these cereals where you wait till next Saturday and you see there always something terrible is going to happen to them, and then you wait till next Saturday, so they got out of the predicament they were in.
So who
always
would
did
you
that.
go with to the movies, Mom?
Oh, it was always a gang of kids. It was like the Ma kids. See, it was like a whole gang of us all went. We'd all walk down to the movies on Saturday.
Mhm.
I think it was 6 cents,
Mhm.
and then you could get for a nickel. You could get a lot of stuff, even less than that, less than a nickel. For 3 cents, you could get a big bag of popcorn. But you could stay the whole time. It's continuous. It started, I think, at 11, or 10 o'clock, and it went on until almost midnight.
Oh my goodness.
You could go and see it. And then mine says, don't you stay for 2 shows, because if we liked a certain comedy, let's stay and see it again.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we'd stay and see it again.
Mhm.
But it was, they were nice movies, nothing like the kind of junk they have now.
These were all silence.
Huh?
These were all
All
silence.
silent, yeah.
Yeah, that you
And
were
they
seeing.
always had a man play the piano,
Uh-huh.
and then they had a sing-along. And we used to have to sing,
Mhm.
and then they had it right written on the screen, the words.
Oh really?
Yeah, they put the words on, and we knew all the local song, and everybody would sing, and
Mhm.
it was really a happy time. There was no trouble, no fights or anything.
Mhm.
And there was your parents got rest, the kids
Mhm.
were. But it was nice living by the Mars, because, it was always, like my brothers had kids their age to play with, and, they came in, we were almost like one family. They were often over at our house and ate at our house, and I would go with all they had to eat. But it was their house, it was really funny how they ate. because the father, he was a real strict father. Although, he was a good father, he did everything, but he wanted order. And if you said anything to those boys, all you had to do was a look. They didn't try any tricks with him at all. And
What nationality was he, Mom?
He was Irish.
He was Irish. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ma.
Uh-huh.
His name was Maher.
Uh-huh.
And he was lucky. He just happened to like plumbing. And, well, I don't know. I guess he learned it someplace. But then he had all his sons. He had 4 sons, so they went into the business too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Ma and Sons.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even when we moved away, we used to come back, and
Mm-hmm.
he still had the.
And so when you were on Bound Street, it was a big house, so your father probably had a room that he could.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He had
a
he
nice
could
big
put his
room.
books and everything,
Oh,
and
yeah.
a desk.
He
His
loved
nice,
that, yeah,
because he had that nice desk that he liked, right?
Yeah.
That roll down desk.
Yeah, he had a big desk. Yeah. Yeah, it was nice in Boston. We had a nice porch, and we used to sit there in the summer. And on the left side of us, we had the undertaker on the right.
Mhm.
On the left was the Tullys, and she was Irish lady too, and she was so nice. She had 4 children, but I was old enough, like when I was 8, to babysit
Mm-hmm.
for her kids that were younger. She was an awful nice lady, and yeah, my mother and her were very good friends. And then next to her, there was a woods.
Mhm.
Was down to the next street. So there was a lot of parts of Flushing that were woods.
Mhm.
It wasn't all built up yet. And then on the end, and our house was only to the right of me. First it was the undertaker, and then there was 2 other houses, something like the one we lived in, and then there was also more woods all the way up to the next street. So you see, we had a lot of open space.
Yeah, that's nice, Mom.
You know.
And so your mom was the gardener. What did she
Yeah.
grow? What kind of things did she grow?
Oh, she grew lots of vegetables.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like do you remember?
I know she had cabbage and
Yeah.
carrots
Mm-hmm.
and potatoes. She
Wow.
had quite a few. It was quite a big yard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I laughed at Mars, just ahead of all those kids. And of course, sometimes those boys were pretty fresh, And so she'd come running out. She's a little bit of an Irish lady. And she'd come out, "Yeah, dirty blazing lump," and she says, "I'll if I get you up." And then she'd be calling them names. They could run, She couldn't catch him, but she'd come, you'd hear the door slam and says, "Oh, there's Grandma out again after one of the boys." If they didn't obey her, and then another thing, Winnie used to say, she was my friend. She'd say, she used to go when the season was over, like Christmas or so, and the candy that Woolworths had, they would sell very cheap, after season or, if it was like Santa Clauses or so, they'd sell them cheap. And she used to put them, and that's how she'd bribe you. "Oh, come here to me, will you do this for me?" And she always had us doing errands for her and running around.
Winnie or the mother?
No, Winnie, the grandma, the great-grandmother, would have Winnie do these errands.
Oh, for candy.
Yeah. And then that's what she did. She'd give them this stale candy, So the boys never wanted to go, And she's always wanted things.
Wait a minute, is this Mr. Marr's mother?
It was Mrs. Marr's mother.
Mrs. Marr's
Yeah,
mother.
Winnie's mother.
Okay.
That's her grandmother on the mother's side.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
And she lived with her, but she was pretty old, so I don't think she ever did much except discipline and
That's funny.
kids.
She called them
The
dirty blazing.
dirty brazen lump.
Brazen.
Brazen.
Okay.
The dirty brazen lump. I should have realized. And she had a stick, and she had dirty brazen lump. If I get you, and she screamed and yelled, you could hear her all over them. But they didn't pay anything. She was more noise. But then if they were good though, she was nice to them. She sometimes slipped them 50 cents, which was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot of
'cause
money.
I know one of the boys, Francis, I forget why he did something. She wanted something, he did it, and he didn't complain or anything. So he says, "Guess what? You gave me 50 cents." I said, "50 cents?" She said, "Yeah." So I mean, she had her good points too, but she was a big help to the mother because while she didn't do heavy work, she could take the clothes down from the line. Her
Yeah.
mother,
Yeah.
Mrs. Marr, could put it up, but she died young, Mrs. Marr. She was a lovely lady. And then the funny, after she died, well, then they had Sadie was the older. The three older ones were all girls. So Sadie was the older, so she sort of was like the mother, and then Florence, and Peggy, and then it was Winnie. Winnie was next to the youngest. She was my age. Oh no, she was older than me. But anyway, when he died, he kept the business, till the boys and the rest of the children, finished school, and then he gave the house to Sadie and the ones, they could have the house, and he moved to some place up New York, around the Catskills, a little house, and he never left it. He didn't have he wanted any part of it. He really was, he missed his wife so much. They were a very nice couple. And every Sunday, he used to, that was her day. She never did a thing on Sunday. He always, they would get all dressed up, went to church together, then he would take her to a restaurant, then he'd take her to a movie. Every Sunday he had some place he'd take her. He said, well, she works hard all week, but, with 10 kids. So, but everybody just say, how, and he was all, they all both looked so nice, dressed through, and he had a car for business, but they used to walk, to the movies. It wasn't even a mile. But you'd see them both every Sunday, dressed up, enjoying it. But they said he just, and so he never came down, and they used to go, Winnie went up there, and her other sisters, they'd visit him. But he said, no, that's finished up on my land. I never want to go down there again. So if they wanted to see him, they had to, we left them well provided. They had the house, and the boys had the business, and, and I don't know how.
Was he a drinker, Mom, or no?
No, he never
He wasn't
drank,
a drinker.
No. He was a very, very good man, He was strict in some things, they had to behave. He didn't want, and no nasty talk, no swearing or saying anything nasty was ever allowed in his house. Oh boy, he'd get after them if they did. But he never used to beat them or whip them. He would just look at them and scare them. He looked like a soldier. He was strong and big, and he was commanding.
Was he born in Ireland, Mom, or born over here? Do
No,
you know?
he was born over here.
He was born here, but the mother was born in
Yeah,
Ireland.
yeah.
Her mother was born in
Yeah.
Ireland. Yeah.
And then his father and mother were, but
Were born in
they
Ireland.
had died already.
Yeah.
'Cause they didn't live with him.
Yeah.
But there were all different things. There was a couple of redheads, like Renee was a redhead, and then there was some with very black hair, and some with brown hair. It's funny, the whole 10, they were all different. None of them looked alike. They were all different.
So you said you call it Mar,
Ma.
but it's M-A-H-E-R. You said,
Some
right?
say Mahar, but they always called it Ma,
Mar.
like
yeah.
M-A-R. Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's the way they call it in Ireland, Mar.
Mhm.
But I notice over here they say Mahar.
They say Mahar. Mhm.
Yeah. But I often wondered, what happened to. But then Winnie, I kept friends with her. Then she got married pretty late. Well, not so terribly late. I guess she was